Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets. Dan Illman and Mike Beer are taking a look at the second of two graded stakes races at Sam Houston on Sunday. Here's the field for the John B. Connally Turf Cup. It's a grade 3, and we're going 1.5 miles on the lawn at Sam Houston. That's a 3-turn configuration. This is a big field, and Mike, this race seems to be a good betting race each and every year, and I think it's only going to be helped by the Pegasus World Cup turf being run the day before, because maybe horses that aren't good enough to compete in that race, they're going to find their way here to run for $200,000.
Yeah, they didn't seem like they had any problem finding horses to enter here. Dan, they got an overflow field. To me, it's just very well matched. Personally, I didn't see a standout in here. I think a lot of different horses could win.
Interesting from a pace perspective. I think there's a chance that this pace could heat up a little bit. Timeform has the 10 Dynamite, who has shown speed at shorter distances on the lead, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the lead. But don't you think the 3 Tide of the Sea is going to be forwardly placed? It seems like that's his best game. I'm hard-pressed to see him 5th early.
Yeah, I got to believe that the idea with Tide of the Sea in here is to just go forward in here and try to, if not make the lead, then just be right up close, because that's, when this horse is at his best. I think Maker knows that. They're going to want to try to get this horse forward. I'll be interested to see what happens with the number 1 Conviction Trade. Dan, he won his most recent start last to first. But in the past, when they've gone long with this horse, they've used his speed.
He was the pace setter in this race last year, and he finished 3rd when he was trained by Michael Maker. Then he seemed to lose his way, not only from a form standpoint, but from a pace standpoint, until all of a sudden he found his speed in his last 3 starts for Maker. I like what the connections did with him last time out. Let's watch the race at Sam Houston, the prep for the Connally. This race, I realize, is only a mile. He was kind of outrun in the early portion, but let's watch this stretch kick. This is some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, he puts in a nice finish here, and he actually does it while having to alter course, Dan, because his rider knew there at about the 8th pole he wasn't going to have room inside, and so he switched him out. He got clear, and he still manages to close this race down. Pretty nice performance from this horse. He's got to get back to one of his better races if he's going to contend here. But man, he ran several races going longer in the past that would give him a real chance, including, as you mentioned, this race last year, where he ran great on a pretty fast pace, going 1.5 miles, and he just couldn't hold on. That was a good performance. He was a little hit and miss after that, but there were some excuses along the way for this horse. I think he's an interesting horse, and you're at a big price.
Getting back to a marathon distance might help the 2 hierarchy. The last time he ran 1.5 miles was in the Japan Turf Cup, and he just was chasing Tide of the Sea, who had too much of a tactical advantage on him that day. He made up some ground to finish 2nd. They ran him short in his last 3 races, and I think the last race, especially 1 mile, was a bit too short for him. This is a horse with a lot of minor awards on his page, so maybe 5-1 in a field this deep is a little light.
That's what I thought. I mean, not that I, was, way against him here. I certainly think he could win this race. He's, ultimately just a very consistent horse, and he shows up, it seems to be, no matter what the distance is. So I'm not going to worry about them stretching him back out. I was mildly interested, Dan. 5-1's way too short for me, but he's certainly a contender in here.
Tide of the Sea is a graded stakes winner going 1.5 miles, and he won the aforementioned Japan Turf Cup 3 starts back. He was in tough in New York in his last 2 races, especially that Red Smith, where he was pushing a solid pace before tiring. I would expect Tyler Gaffalione to have him close to the pace. I'm not sure if he's in the form he was in the beginning of 2021, but he's a solid runner.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think this is just a good spot for him. I do think his form tailed off a little bit the second half of last year, but they also tried some really tough races with him. So maybe that had more to do with it than anything else. To me, it's just all about trip for him. If he can get forward and he doesn't have to take, go that fast or take that much pressure up there, he's a super dangerous horse. He could easily win this race.
Strong Tide pulled off a $36 upset on dirt in his most recent race, but he is plenty capable on the turf. The last time he raced on the turf, maybe he was in a bit tough at Kentucky Downs and against the likes of Snapper Sinclair, who's a millionaire, and bounced out of that win in the TVG with a graded placing sprinting in the Eddie D with a 97 Beyer speed figure. Strong Tide has run various distances, various surfaces. Another solid horse that I think if he gets the right trip, he can get there a piece of this at a price.
Yeah, I agree with that. He could certainly factor at some point in this race. I can't say that I loved him overall. I don't, think he's run, exceptional turf races. They tried this race with him last year when he had a lot of pace to close into, and he just really didn't do all that much with it. So, I sort of wonder if this is going to be a little bit too tough for him, but he's, run a race or two that would give him a look.
Like the 4 Strong Tide, the 5 Decision Maker is moving dirt to turf off of a victory at a big price. He won an entry-level allowance race at Churchill Downs going 1.25 miles on the dirt. He's been okay on the turf. He just missed in his most recent turf effort, and the horse he finished ahead of, Camp Hope, would come back to win with a 95 Beyer and then won a stakes race at Keeneland with a 96. So he kept good company that day. He's hoping the pace falls apart.
Yeah, he is. And that's exactly what happened in that Kentucky Downs race that you were just referencing, Dan. He did just miss in there, but he got a great trip in that race with the winner, Mud Pie, just making a super early run in that race and then getting tired at the end. This horse almost got him. But had he won there, he would have done it with just an absolute perfect trip and setup. I think he has to improve a lot to beat this field.
I'm a big fan of the number 6 Fantasioso, but how much more money can I lose betting on him? He's yet to win in North America. You can make the argument he was compromised by just a lack of pace and a walking winner, a Bon in the 2-mile 8 Challenge Jerkins last time out. He's a horse that obviously can win this race. He has strong company lines. I just don't want to go 9-2 on the tote.
Yeah, I didn't want to short price on him either, but I agree with you. He could easily win this race. He's 0 for 8 since they got him over here early on last year, but he's run several good races. His form really did sort of tail off end of last year, though. It's not like he ran great last time. I understand that the pace was slow, but he wasn't that far away from it, and he really didn't do anything in the stretch.
Mothell didn't do much in the Allen Jerkins as well. He was chasing that loose leader, and he tired badly going the 2 miles. He did win at 1.5 miles, 3 starts back at Keeneland in a race where there was some give in the ground. I think there are some class concerns, but it is Michael Maker.
Yeah, he's an infrequent winner. He was never very good before Maker claimed him for 35. And I suppose Maker actually did improve this horse a little bit. He did win at 1.5 miles, 3 starts back. I thought he ran fine that day. I thought he just got a perfect trip, Dan. I wasn't really that impressed with that win. I suppose he's a player in here, but I wanted other horses.
The 8 Logical Myth is one of the more accomplished horses in this race. Joe Sharp's done a nice job with him. He's won 3 stakes races. He was very, very good at fairgrounds in the beginning of 2021. I'm not sure I like the blinkers off here. I wonder if Sharp's trying to do something to wake this horse up. Last time out in the Diliberto Memorial, kind of just an even performance.
Yeah, I mean, this horse is pretty good. I'm more concerned about the distance than anything else, Dan. I don't really know if I feel like this horse wants to go this far. I guess they'll try it again. They tried 1.5 miles back in 2020. He was an okay second behind Tide of the Sea at a big price. I don't know. I didn't love him stretching out. He's not a great price on the morning line.
There was a point in time where I was a fan of the 9 Another Mystery. I liked his 3rd place effort in the 2020 John Henry Turf Championship, but he's only won a couple of times since then, one against Statebreds at Arlington Park. Last time out in that Diliberto Memorial, he was a big price. He finished kind of evenly. I don't know. I think if he could find one of his past races, he can threaten at a decent price.
Yeah, he's got plenty of races that would make him pretty tough in here. We'll see. He's another one. I was a little concerned about the 1.5 miles. I don't know if I feel like this is his best distance. He's run okay going longer before. He certainly has the class to be a strong player in here.
Gigantic question marks for distance regarding the number 10, Dynamite, who is really stretching out for the first time. This horse does have speed. He was very game to win at Keeneland 2 starts back. He broke from the rail. He made the lead, and he was able to hold off a rail skimmer in the final strides. I'm not exactly sure what the plan was last time out at the fairgrounds. They didn't try to get forward with him off the layoff. Right. He was 3-4 wide throughout, and it's not like he was really giving ground in the stretch. I'm assuming they're going to send him. This distance is a big obstacle.
The distances as well as the competition. And again, I think he does want to be forward, Dan. I just don't really feel like this pace is going to be that slow because I think Tide of the Sea's going from the inside. To me, that's going to make things really hard on this horse.
A Journey to Freedom. Let's watch his most recent start. We talked about the 8 Challenge Jerkins. We talked about how the winner of the race, the Pletcher-trained Aban, just got loose and walked around the track. A Journey to Freedom was basically chasing throughout, and he chased in vain. He finished second. He might get a better situation here. I really like the way he won at Saratoga over the summer, going 1.5 miles. He overcame trouble that day. Now he's got to prove it against stakes horses.
Yeah, I agree with you. He ran really well on that win at Saratoga. After that, maybe not so good, but two back, he was in that Sycamore Dam. We talked about that race because several of those horses are back on the Saturday card at Gulfstream Park. This horse had no chance in that race, trying to come from out of it. And he ran fine last time, just the kind of race that he was never going to pass the winner who was on an easy lead. I think he's a major contender in here. I also felt like there was a chance he could go favored, and I wouldn't bet him as the favorite.
A Parrot Head is the last horse in the body of the field. He was no match in a 1 mile allowance race last time out at Remington Park. So there are a lot of questions about class. There are a lot of questions about distance. This post no bargain as well. He'll be a giant price.
Yeah, he will be. Listen, he ran pretty well the first 3 times they ran him on turf last year. And, he won all of those races, not against competition like this, but it suggests that he has some upside. He's just going to have to take a step forward here.
Top pick time for the Grade 3 John B. Connally Turf Cup. You can make cases for many horses. Conviction Trade has back class. He's run well at this distance. And Mike, I think at this distance, he has a lot more tactical speed than he showed in his last race. His last race, that rally at 1 mile, I think is a very nice sign.
That's what I thought too. And I don't mind him stretching back out for this race. I do think he's going to be forward from the rail. And we'll just see if he's good enough. He ran a couple of races last year that would give him a big chance in here.
While Dynamite is probably more appropriate in shorter distance races like the Firecracker handicap, I'm hoping that he can explode to the early lead and maybe not fizzle in the stretch. He's going to be a big price. And again, I just didn't love his trip last time out. Kind of wide in a race that was dominated by front runners. Dynamite for me, Conviction Trade for Mike. It's the Connally Turf Cup on a nice Sunday card at Sam Houston. Good luck.